If there's anybody on this Washington Wizards basketball team that embodies what this organization wants to be, his name is Justin Champagnie. He deserves to get some recognition as potentially being a core Wizards player. Let's talk about it and break down a loss tonight to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, the official #1 podcast network in the world right now. Let's keep on rolling this thing alongside the DC sports content creating Strober and Abdullah Ayubi. I'm Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. A tough one tonight, but before we get into it, we get you today's sponsor, FanDuel. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Wizards drop it 148-114, and when you don't have Kyshawn George, who is out due to illness, and then Bilal Coulibaly, who is out with the lower left leg tightness, we got an update from Brian Keefe. They said it's associated with his calf. You had to expect that it was going to be a tough night for the Wizards defensively, and boy, it sure was. It just absolute disaster class when it comes to defense. Can't really sugarcoat it that way, but it's just something you kind of expected with this outcome tonight. But there's a lot more positives that we're going to get into as we roll through along the show here. Justin Champagnie continues to showcase what he's all about as a Wizard. Trey Johnson flashed for a career high. Some good things from Jameer Watkins and Alex Sarr. And then we'll let you let it all out at the end. AB, initial thoughts from tonight?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Ben, when you don't have your two best perimeter defenders, it's going to be a struggle, especially this Cavaliers team. They have really shifty guards in Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley is a really great center that we're hoping that Alex Sarr can somewhat be like him when he's fully developed as an NBA player. Speaking of Alex Sarr, he had 20 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks for the second-year kid out of France. I love it, Ben. The development of year 2, it's coming. And also CJ McCollum, vintage CJ McCollum. I know you and I kind of went in on him after that Boston performance, but he bounced back tonight, and that's some things that you want to see. Trey Johnson had his first career NBA start. You love to see it. 18 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Jameer Watkins got in the game early, and he was given the assignment of guarding Donovan Mitchell. I know he struggled. I think he picked up 2 to 3 fouls early, but to see a young guy guard a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who's one of the best premier guards in this league, things like that will build up, and hopefully when this team starts to compete more down the line, you can build on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I'll just get the final negative piece I really wanted to get out of the way here. The Wizards allowed 23 pointers tonight. So just unacceptable in terms of defending from the three-point line. That's going to have to get a lot better for this team in order for them to be competitive in these games. It absolutely wasn't the case tonight. The Wizards also really struggled giving up the offensive glass rebounds tonight. 25 offensive rebounds for this Cleveland team is what allowed for so many of these guys to get open on the three-point line. We knew that was going to be a problem going forward this year, but it's a Cleveland team that's going to compete in the Eastern Conference this year. They got Darius Garland back this week, and he is a big difference for what that offense can be with Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. There's so many good pieces offensively on this Cleveland team. So without your two best defenders, the Wizards really did not stand a chance to defend in this one, which makes it real tough.
And, man, I didn't even know about Sam Merrill. I didn't know who that was, but he was lighting it up from downtown tonight.
Yeah, he was. But one thing stuck out to me tonight, AB, and let's get into it. Justin Champagnie, I know you're so high on him. I've really grown to love his game. And this wasn't an offensive, efficient night for him. 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from behind the arc, but kind of an anomaly when it comes to his game and the way he's played throughout the season. But in 19 minutes played, he put up the 6 points because he got to the line twice and knocked down all 4 of his free throws. This dude had 11 rebounds, and 6 of them on the offensive glass.
That's 6'5", Ben. Are you kidding me? You love to see that.
Yeah. I think we need to start giving him some more recognition as potentially being a core Washington Wizards player, because You need a guy like this on a really good team. He plays winning basketball. He does everything the Wizards have asked for him, and he embodies what this organization wants to build in a player. He's gritty. He's hard-nosed. He crashes the offensive glass with absolute purpose every single time. If you have a guy like Justin Champagnie, who's 24 right now, he's on a super cheap contract, this is exactly what you want to see from the guy. And I feel like a couple years down the road when this Wizards team hopefully is competing to the level they hope to be at, Justin Champagnie could be that chess piece that really makes you what you are off the bench. I think he needs to play more minutes for this team, and I think he just needs to continue to show what he's all about.
Yeah, I think it was a recent stream where someone mentioned that he is our Josh Hart, and I love that comparison. A guy who, like I mentioned, 6'5", 11 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, 6 points, 2 assists, 2 steals, really doing it all, and I think he is the embodiment of what the Wizards are trying to build, versatility, and when he's in the game, you can clearly see there's an impact, and a guy like him is very good for the young guys on this team, where in a night where you lose by 34 points, you're still going out there and hustling. It's tough to do in sports where you're losing by a lot in the game, but you're still going out there and giving your 110%. And guys like Justin Champagnie earn minutes on this roster. And it was a little questionable the first couple games of the season, Ben. We're saying, why isn't he playing that much? And then when Chris Middleton's out with an injury, he comes and starts. And we're hoping that this continues throughout the season where he gets minutes like that. Tonight, 19 minutes, so maybe 20 to 25 would be ideal for me. But again, Ben, JC last year, and he was part of the Capital City Go-Go development, and a big reason why I love these young guys at 24 years old, and he's only going to get better on a very, very friendly contract, and I'm hoping that he's a core piece of this young core that we have here in Washington.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an argument to be made about the kind of value that Justin Champagnie can bring to a team. And it was just frustrating, the fact that the first 5 or 6 games of the season, you saw him pretty much relegated to the end of the bench. He was playing no minutes for this team. He'd check in for like these 5-second spurts. And then all of a sudden you had the injury to Middleton. He starts back-to-back games, which was good to see. And now that Middleton came back in the lineup today, you saw some other guys slot in. Trey Johnson got his first start tonight. We're going to talk about him in the second segment. I was like, oh boy, are we going to see another Justin Champagnie just go to the bench and not play very much? So I was glad to see that Brian Keefe is starting to utilize the idea here that Justin Champagnie can help you compete a little more. And this was a night where the Wizards were never set up to compete in this game. They never had a chance because of the way they were defending the three-point line, a lot of other things that went wrong. But Champagnie just strikes me as a guy right now that if he continues to play around 20 minutes per game for this team, on the nights where they are set up to compete, a more favorable matchup for him, or you get your guys like Kyshawn George or Bilal Coulibaly back, I think he's going to help them out in the long run. Just another one of these great players that the Wizards have on the wing right now.
Yeah, and he stepped up without the presence of Bilal Coulibaly and Kyshawn George, so we're hoping that the impact even becomes greater when those key players come back for DC, Ben. It was just a night, Ben, where it was the Cavs. It's a talent gap. Let's be honest. That's one thing that we were talking about going into the season, where a majority of these teams, they're just talented. They have that experience. This Cavs team is trying to make a run to the chip this year, and for the Wizards, you have games like this, and you want to bounce back from it, and you have a good chance of bouncing back against a team you just beat not too long ago in the Dallas Mavericks, and hopefully we'll have an update on Kyshawn George, and he'll be fine. But rough night, Ben, but you hope to bounce back because, again, there's probably going to be a lot of nights like this throughout the season, and the only you can do is bounce back, essentially.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that are tough. When you give up almost 150 points, it's crazy it came into fruition because when it got announced that Kyshawn was out, Bilal was obviously ruled out yesterday, you saw a lot of the noise saying, well, this team might give up 150 to this Cavs team, and they got very close to doing it, just 2 points away. It's tough. It's tough to compete when you can't defend the three-point line that well. A couple of other things that just kind of have me a little bit down at the moment is I'm just really feeling in a way for Bub Carrington, who had 11 assists tonight. So it was nice to see him play make a little bit better, but something is up with his confidence right now. That's like what I've kind of taken away from his game, because it was another tough night for him offensively. Outside of the playmaking numbers, he went 2 for 12, 2 for 7 from 3, and you can almost see it from his body language, the way he's kind of struggled in terms of his mentality as an offensive player. When he finally got one of his threes to go down in the second half, he put his hands up and was like, thank you. I really needed to see that one go in. So I don't know what it's going to take for him to get going right now, because it's been such a tough start to the year, and I was super high on the guy coming into the season, and I'm not willing to give up on Bub Carrington right now, but something's definitely got to change. I think there's got to be some sort of reset for him right now. I don't know what the fix is, but it's just something to keep tabs on right now.
No, I agree. I don't have a solution either, Ben, and it's a little, I don't know if I want to say concerning yet because we're still early on in the season, but 11 assists is a nice thing to do when you're struggling to score, but if this is a common theme that we see even past the trade deadline, then it's like, what's happening here? I think, Ben, the clear answer for me, the easy answer is the lack of having a pure point guard here because, like we always mentioned, Bub Carrington is a combo guard, and he excelled last year as a rookie playing all 82 games alongside Jordan Poole. I just, if this is a common thing that we're going to see throughout this season, I don't want to have people have these talks about, oh, Bub Carrington's a bust after how he displayed his rookie season to now. It's going to be a difficult transition finding his role here, but I'm hoping that he finds it soon because, again, you want him to be a guy with such young, he has 20 years old, very young. You don't want to decrease his confidence and just shatter a guy who, I think the sky's the limit. I think he still has the capability of being a really good NBA player, and maybe whatever his role is, being a sixth man or however he contributes on a basketball team, we're hoping that he finds a way to be more efficient because, again, with a lot of inefficiency with these young guys, it can derail their confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about some other guys that flashed. Trey Johnson, a career high tonight. Jameer Watkins got the most minutes he's gotten early on here in his NBA career. How did the second-round pick for the Wizards fare? Let's talk about it next. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the very next day. And you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. I love that it's not just food. You get everything you want: snacks, drinks, headphones like I'm wearing right here, ice, even socks. You can get all of that delivered. DoorDash has you covered for the late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel-ups. So next time someone goes off for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus, your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashinYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. AB, if there's one thing I was excited about before this game, because I had a feeling when we found out Kyshawn George was going to be out alongside Coulibaly, it was going to be a real tough night defensively for this Wizards team, was to see Trey Johnson finally get an opportunity to be out there with the starters. And it started off real slow for him. The first 6 minutes that he played in this game, he only touched the ball, I think, 2 times, which I was kind of like, man, like, you want to see Trey Johnson finally get some touches here. This is a really opportunistic situation where you have him out here. There's not a lot going on for this game because you know you're going to struggle defensively. Let's get Trey Johnson some opportunities. And we didn't really see it. You didn't see him actually start to get going until the second quarter of this game. And that's where things started to take off for Trey Johnson. He finished with a career-high 18 points tonight. He got a lot of those in the fourth quarter. But when you give him the opportunity to actually run through a set offense, have him operate out of the catch-and-shoot opportunities, that's where he's the most successful. In that second quarter, he knocked down 2 straight threes on catch-and-shoot opportunities. AB, I need to see more of that.
I think there was a play, Ben, when the team, I think right off a timeout, down by, I think, 15 to 20 points, and they set up a play for him to catch and shoot a 3, and it went in, and things like that, like you mentioned, you want to see more of, because especially since every time he shoots the ball, man, it just looks like it's going in. I might be a little biased, but the guy can shoot it from 3. And I like how he still, when he's missing that mid-range shot, he still finds a way to get that shot off, one dribble pull-up. Small things like that you can build on and hopefully have nights where he's eventually, because there's going to be a night coming soon, hopefully soon, where he drops 20 to 25 points all off mid-range shots and eventually beyond the arc. But having those set plays for him, the elevator screens, the inbound plays, down screens, especially if the team can't buy a bucket and they're on a scoring drought, Trey Johnson could end that drought. And once he gets going, that opens up opportunities for guys like Alex Sarr if they're down low and have a mismatch on him. And I love Trey Johnson's game, and it's only going to develop from here. And I think one thing's for sure, Ben, is the confidence. Like a lot of rookies, they struggle with it the first couple of games of their rookie season, but he doesn't seem fazed by it at all. He just looks like a veteran out there. The game looks pretty slow for him, and that's what we expected from what he did at Texas. And I'm hoping to see more of this. And tomorrow you have a matchup against Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick, so that's going to be exciting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing with Trey Johnson I wanted to bring up here is about his defense. It was not very good tonight. It's going to have to get a lot better as it goes on. This was a tough matchup for him tonight, so I'm not going to go too hard in on him. He's a guy that's going to need to fill out as well. Weight room, going to be a big friend to Trey Johnson as he moves along in his career, because he did struggle at times defensively. But one thing I wanted to bring up was I had a great conversation with Wizards radio analyst Glenn Concert today, and we talked about Trey Johnson, and I tried to get his input. I said, Glenn, I kind of feel like we're not seeing the Wizards give Trey the real opportunities that he should be getting. Give him catch and shoot opportunities. Can they run set plays to get this guy open in space so he can score the basketball more efficiently? He said, yeah, totally. That's something that they absolutely should be doing. But he said it's going to be one of those work in progress things where essentially the Wizards are letting him go out there and trying to figure out who he is as a basketball player and how he can kind of get through the game on his own at this point and see what he learns about himself. Because we saw this last year with Alex Sarr. Sarr was so like herky-jerky with his post moves last year and, a whole lot of fading away from the basket. And I think he found out a lot about himself as a player. He found out what worked and what didn't. And maybe we're going to see something similar here with Trey Johnson, because Alex Sarr, once again, was just awesome tonight. It was really tough for him on the boards, tough defensively. But in 30 minutes, once again, he puts up 20 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 10 of 17 from the field. Tough night for him behind the arc. He went 0 for 4. But Alex Sarr continues to look aggressive. He gets his body. He was taking it right at Jared Allen every single time. So you feel like Trey Johnson may be on a similar trajectory. As the season goes along, they're going to find more opportunities for him to get open in these set plays, because at times where it happened tonight, he looked really good.
Ben, speaking of Alex, how good is that fadeaway mid-range shot? It looks butter. And go ahead.
Much better.
Yeah,
like last year with him and his post moves, the one thing I noticed when he would shoot that fadeaway shot is he have a hard time finding where the basket was. It seemed like he'd be fading away and he's not even facing the basket. He's definitely cleaned that up, and that's why that shot looks so much better.
Yeah, and just looks a much more confident guy who's, I think, averaging as of right now a little under 20 points per game. And tonight it was rough because I talked about Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, how talented they are, Ben, but they also have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and they are very much a big presence in the painted area. And I kind of expected it because Evan Mobley, I always was telling my friends that I want Alex Sarr to be like him, a great two-way center in this league, because he was at times, I think there was a discussion of him being better at the center position or forward position. But whatever position that Alex Sarr is going to play, I'm hoping that he's going to excel at. And just overall, it was a rough night. I mean, again, it's hard when you're losing by 20-plus points at home. However, there were a lot of bright spots, and it's good to see that one of those bright spots was your 6th overall pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy I wanted to highlight real quick while we have the time, Jameer Watkins, 2nd overall pick for this team. He really proved himself defensively, and we saw it throughout the summer league, how tenacious he was as a defender, how he got himself in great positioning. He could defend the passing lanes, deny the ball, and he looked great tonight. I got a tweet from one of our guys, Leon Fresco, who is a big watcher of the program. He said he sits down behind the Wizards bench and he saw Donovan Mitchell genuinely getting frustrated at the defense Jameer Watkins was playing. He ended up only as a -8 tonight in 20 minutes played, which is kind of impressive considering how the score went for this game, giving up 148 points. Jameer Watkins definitely showed me some stuff. He came in, he picked up 3 fouls early on in this game. But he's definitely going to be a guy that's going to get plenty of run with the go-go when the time comes. But I was happy to see him get some run today. AB, one thing also. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let you go on with your point here before I bring it up.
No, I was going to say, man, it's a tough assignment. You don't play a lot of minutes at the beginning of the season, and now you're getting in the game. You have to guard Donovan Mitchell, arguably one of the best guards in this league. I think the rookie did a pretty decent job. Granted, he got those fouls early, but it's still a learning curve, and I can't wait to see more of this in the future. Especially, he had to step up because Jameer Watkins is a guy who can play defense, and we don't have Kyshawn, George, or Bilal Coulibaly tonight. Who's going to step up? And the Wizards expected the rookie to step up, and I think he did a pretty fairly decent job.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing tonight, Cam Whitmore only played in 5 minutes in this game, AB, and they asked him in the pregame. I think it was Bijan Todd of Monumental Sports that asked Brian Keefe in the pregame presser, what's the deal with Cam Whitmore? What does he need to do to get more minutes for this team? And Brian Keefe said it's nothing to do with Cam Whitmore and what he's done is why his minutes have gone down. But he only played in 8 in the last game, 5 tonight. It's not looking good right now for Cam Whitmore, but there's a whole season to be played here, and he's a 21-year-old guy. So I wouldn't say you need to end the experiment right now or anything like that. He's got too much offensive talent to give up on it in a way. Maybe at some point in the season you're going to see him start to figure it out a little bit. They just got to figure out how to play more together as a team when he's on the floor. I think one of the things that Kyshawn George said when our pal Joshua Valdez asked him what they've noticed from Cam Whitmore, they said themselves, we got to do a better job finding him when he's cutting the basket. So maybe with time, with practice, with more reps, these guys are going to be able to gel a little bit more together, and the Whitmore minutes are going to look a little more efficient. But tonight, just kind of a discouraging sign right there for him.
And I was a little disappointed, Ben, when it comes to his 5 minutes not getting more, because I thought he was going to play a lot more with Kyshawn George and Bilal Coulibaly out, but the Wizards and Coach Keefe trusted Jameer Watkins tonight. So I agree. I think it's a little too early to give up on Cam Whitmore. I think he's so talented at 21 years old, very explosive. It's just trying to carve that role here in Washington when there's just so many different narratives, because we have Kyshawn George here too, Alex Sarr as well, Trey Johnson. When it comes to balancing those touches, and then early on this season there were some times where he would just take 3-point shots when there's a guy open in the corner, or it's a fast break 2-on-1, 3-on-2. And again, he is a young guy. It's crazy to say that, but with his multiple years experience in the league, he's still very young, and I think he can carve a role here. But to give up on him, I think it's a little too early.
Yeah, 100%. All right, it's time for you guys to let it all out. Make sure the comment is family friendly so we can put it on the
I already
screen.
see the comments, Ben.
Yeah, we're gonna read as many as we can here in the final 10 minutes. We'll be back in just a second here on Locked On Wizards. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement on this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to go. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I've been using PrizePicks during both football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. It keeps the game that much more exciting for me. I like picking my favorite players like Mahomes, Steph Curry, Jaden Daniels before he got hurt, and I like to see how my predictions play out. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves my lineup from a loss. Download the PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, DC family, it's time to let it all out. AB, why don't you put one up first?
Yeah, first I want to say, side note, Ben, first NBA Cup game, I know you didn't win it, but the court, it kind of reminds me of like a fruit punch red. And then you mentioned
so
when
bright.
It's very bright. You were telling me that it kind of looks pink on the big screen, which it's like the inner, you know how when you see raw meat on like cartoons, like that, it reminded me of like that pink. But anyway, let's look at these comments. JR100 says, yeah, we seriously need a new coach to better our development. Here's my thing on that, Ben, and I know a lot of people, I just seen so many negativity when it comes to Coach Brian Keefe, but I think look what he's being dealt with, the scenario that he's in. Are there times you can question the rotation and the amount of minutes he's giving players? Okay, you can do that, but right now, this Wizards team, they're just not built to compete. That's the reality of the situation. That's a common thing that we're always talking about. We have to be a little more patient as Wizards fans, and you can make the case that maybe Coach Keefe is just a coach here for the short term, and then eventually when this team gets more competitive or gets competitive at any level, then you bring in a real head coach like a Taylor Jenkins, like a Mike Malone. However, for the time being, for what he's being dealt with, it's a tough situation, and it's easy to pick on him and say, oh, fire Coach Keefe, but I think you have to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is player development rather than team wins.
I'm going to put this one up here from Mr. Tukey's. Bub missed how many layups? We're talking confidence in professional basketball. Trey doesn't come off like he would ever lack confidence. And we know Trey Johnson is one of the more confident players on this basketball team right now. He came into the league as one of the most confident draft prospects. But with Bub, the reason I'm saying I think it's a confidence issue for the guy is because he is missing these open layups. He's missing shots that we saw him make last year with pretty good ability. He was a guy that operated very well out of the mid-range. You wanted to see him get better at facilitating it and getting to the rim. But at times when he's had those opportunities, he just hasn't finished. And the fact that I'm bringing up again what I saw earlier where he made the three-pointer in the corner and he just looks so relieved to see that one go down, it just seems like it's a confidence issue to me. I don't know how it gets fixed, but I think that's the problem right now.
Yeah. Again, we failed to mention that he's 20 years old. He's still relatively young. This whole Wizards squad is really, really young. Mill, thank you for commenting, liking, and watching the Locked On Wizards channel. Tired of seeing CJ taking all the shots instead of getting the young guys involved. I see where you're coming from there, especially if we want to see Trey Johnson get involved with the game, like we mentioned earlier in the stream. We want to see him get more touches. But tonight, Ben, the CJ McCollum haters, you can't really say much. I think he had like 17 in the first half, finished with 25. Very efficient night. I was telling you, Ben, this is the CJ McCollum that the Wizards traded for. We're hoping to see more of him throughout the season. Are there times when the team is down and they need to get a bucket or try to start a run, he takes like a contested three? He loves trying to draw fouls at the three-point line. That's one thing I've noticed so far. But CJ bounced back, and for as much, I don't want to say banter, but the criticism that I was giving him for that performance against Boston, because again he went 1 for 10, and a lot of the young guys just couldn't get opportunities because he was taking those shots. He bounced back tonight, and we're hoping to see this form of CJ McCollum throughout the season.
Yeah, the Wizards organization, you really hope so, because with the amount of money he's getting paid right now,
it's $30 million a year, right, Ben?
34.
Oh boy.
He's not going to be an easy player to move at the deadline. They're not moving him to acquire major assets. It's mostly going to be like a salary dump thing where they're going to dump him. They're probably going to take on another salary, and hopefully you get an asset in return. But he's going to have to continue to play the way he did tonight for that to happen. I'm not saying that he should be a guy that's trying to lead this team every single night. I think he's got to, defer to the youth a little bit. I think Keefe should defer to the youth a little bit more. But, CJ McCollum's a guy, he's a veteran for this team. He's a presence in the locker room. You're not going to just discount that at the end of the day for this young Wizards team that's, going through a super tough time right now. You've lost 7 games in a row. You got to have somebody in the locker room to help you get out of that. You got a Dallas team tomorrow that you already beat this year. Can you really go for another sweep against a Western Conference team like you did Denver last year? We'll see.
Yeah, I think as much as we talk about Dallas, Ben, they're having their own problems. Shout out to our guy, Nick Angstead from Locked On Mavs. It's just a struggle because he was talking about how the team's already lost to the Wizards and now they lost to the New Orleans Pelicans without Zion Williamson. So every NBA team, a lot of hiccups going around the league, but we're here focusing about the Washington Wizards. President by amendment, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Champagnie is better than Coulibaly. Simon McClung, the Pacers waived him. I think it's a little too soon to say Champagnie is better than Coulibaly because I think both guys are really good players. Max McClung is a free agent. I saw the Pacers waived him, so I don't know, Ben. What are you thinking?
For McClung?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll bring him in. I just don't think that's something that's going to happen. But this team could use like anybody that could run the point at this point. Jared Butler can't stick anywhere. I don't know. It's just it's at a time like this where you kind of miss Rollins being in the building, and obviously how it ended here was a little bit tough. But yeah, it's definitely a problem right now the Wizards have in terms of running the offense. And when you didn't have Kyshawn out there tonight, it made it that much worse because he's kind of been your de facto point guard. There's a lot. It's tough to look at the positives and continue to roll through this thing when you lose 148 to 114. But sometimes on a night like that, you're missing your 2 best wing defenders. The expectation was that something like this was probably going to happen.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we have to realize as I'm looking at a comment right here, this team won't win even 15 games. It would embarrass everyone. I think a lot of fans need to realize that this year we weren't going to win a lot of games. I'll keep saying it. But I understand the frustration in the terms of being competitive in every game, but also this Cavs team is going to be contending in the Eastern Conference. So it's kind of hard. It's like two sides to the coin where it's You want to be competitive, but also you have to realize you have that top 8 pick. But we also have to be realistic about the expectations of this team. And tonight, when you don't have your 2 best players defensively and hopefully offensively, because Bilal has been on a heater ever since he returned from injury, it's going to be tough to compete a team that has guys like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley. We have to be realistic with ourselves. It's so easy to trash on this organization, but again, it's that P word, Ben. You just have to be a little more patient.
Yeah. I mean, I think I set my win. I think I said 21 to 23.
Yeah, I think I said 23 to 25.
Maybe I was a little too high in my prediction, but who knows? Maybe things will get better as the season goes on. That'll wrap it up for us, though.
Brooklyn's coming up, though, next week, so be on the lookout.
Big tank bowl game. That'll do it for us here on Locked On Wizards from Capital One Arena, 148 to 114. The Cleveland Cavaliers take it over the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are back in action tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks. AB will be there. I won't be able to be there, unfortunately, but he will have the coverage for you here on Locked On Wizards. We thank you for making it your first listen every single day. For your second, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball podcast hosted by Josh Lloyd, the best you can get. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the nation, where it's your team every day. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC Family. We sign off. Have a good night.